What if I told you that while Europe was crawling out of the Dark Ages, an African empire had built a political system so sophisticated that it left Portuguese explorers absolutely speechless? A kingdom where the ruler was considered divine, yet his power was carefully checked by secret societies and powerful chiefs. This is the story of Benin's political genius. Welcome to Echoes of Africa, where we uncover the untold brilliance of African civilizations. Today, we're diving deep into the Benin Empire's political and social structure. We'll explore the divine monarchy that held it all together, the ingenious system of checks and balances that prevented tyranny, the secret societies that wielded invisible power, and the social hierarchy that organized one of Africa's most advanced civilizations. By the end, you'll understand why this empire lasted over 600 years. The Oba, divine monarch. At the heart of Benin's political structure sat the Oba, but this wasn't just a king. The Oba was considered a living god, a direct descendant of Oduduwa, the creator of the world in Yoruba cosmology. Here's where it gets fascinating. The Oba couldn't be seen eating or drinking by commoners. Why? Because gods don't need mortal sustenance. He spoke through intermediaries, his word was literally law, and his physical touch could bless or curse. But here's the twist most people don't know, and I'll come back to this: despite all this divine power, the Oba couldn't actually do whatever he wanted. Someone was watching. Someone was checking his power. We reveal who in just a moment. The Oba's palace in Benin City was a political statement in itself. It covered an area as large as the city of Lisbon at the time, with Kali inherit. The kingmakers, the Uzoma Nyanron, the 7 hereditary nobles, had to approve the succession. This prevented incompetent rulers and ensured political stability. The checks and balances system. Now, here's that twist I promised. Despite being a god king, the Oba of Benin operated within one of Africa's most sophisticated systems of checks and balances. Remember those 7 kingmakers I mentioned? The Uzoma Nyanron weren't just ceremonial. They could reject an Oba's son if he was unfit. They controlled access to the throne itself. But there's more. The Oba shared power with 3 other powerful groups. First, the Eghavbo Noah, the town chiefs. These weren't hereditary positions. The Oba appointed them based on merit, loyalty, and achievement. They advised on daily governance and could voice dissent in council meetings. Second, the Eghavbo Nogbi, the palace chiefs. These men managed the palace, controlled trade, and administered the Oba's vast wealth. They were the empire's civil service. Third, and this is crucial, the Iyesi, or prime minister. This was the most powerful non-royal position in the empire. The Iyes commanded the army, could veto certain royal decisions, and acted as a bridge between the Oba and the people. Here's the genius: these groups competed with each other for influence, which meant no single faction could overthrow the Oba or seize absolute power. It was political balance through managed rivalry, a concept that wouldn't appear in European political theory until Montesquieu, centuries later. And we haven't even talked about the secret societies yet. Secret societies, the invisible power. If you think the political structure I've described is complex, wait until you hear about the secret societies that operated behind the scenes. The most powerful was Iwibo, the palace society that controlled access to the Oba. No one, and I mean no one, could see the Oba without Iwibo's approval. Ow. They were the ultimate gatekeepers. Then there was Igil, the society that managed royal burials and succession rituals. Add into every level of society, which brings us to social hierarchy and organization. Benin society was organized like a pyramid, but with surprising mobility for a pre-modern civilization. At the top, the Oba and the royal family, the Idio vai Obie. Second tier, the hereditary nobles and title holders who formed the political elite. Third tier, skilled craftsmen organized into guilds. And here's what's remarkable: master craftsmen could achieve enormous wealth and influence. The bronze casters, ivory carvers, and coral bead makers lived in designated quarters and passed their knowledge through strict apprenticeships. These guilds were exclusive, powerful, and essential to the empire's economy. Fourth tier, farmers, traders, and laborers who formed the economic backbone. But here's where Benin was different from European feudalism. Social mobility was real. A talented individual could be elevated by the Oba to the rank of town chief, bypassing hereditary nobility entirely. Warriors who distinguished themselves in battle received titles and land. Successful traders could sponsor their sons into palace service. The empire was also organized geographically into wards, each headed by an Odianwere, an elder responsible for local governance, dispute resolution, and tax collection. These wards were like mini-governments, handling daily affairs without constant royal oversight. Women had clearly defined roles too. While political power was male-dominated, the Iyoba, the Queen Mother, held significant influence. She had her own palace, controlled resources, and could intercede with the Oba on behalf of the people. Market women controlled local commerce through their guilds, and certain priestess positions gave women spiritual authority. Family units were organized under the OKO system, extended families living in compounds headed by the eldest male. But inheritance wasn't always patrilineal. The Oba could redistribute land and titles to prevent powerful families from becoming too entrenched. The entire system was designed with one principle: balance. Balance between the divine and the human, between hereditary privilege and merit, between central authority and local autonomy. WHYIT worked for 600 plus years. So why did this complex political system work for over 6 centuries when other empires collapsed? 3 reasons. First, flexibility. The system could adapt. New positions were created as needed. The town chief system was actually an innovation that balanced the hereditary nobles when they became too powerful. Second, legitimacy. Everyone believed in the system. The spiritual foundation, the Oba's connection to the divine, gave the political structure unquestionable authority. But the checks and balances made it fair enough that people accepted it. Third, economic prosperity. Benin controlled the trade routes between the interior and the coast. Pepper, ivory, palm oil, and later, enslaved people generated enormous wealth. When people prosper, they don't revolt. The system only collapsed when external forces, British colonialism, violently destroyed it in 1897. But even today, the Oba of Benin remains a respected traditional ruler, a testament to the enduring legitimacy of this ancient political structure. Call to action. If this political sophistication impressed you, smash that like button because we're just scratching the surface of African civilizations that rival anything in Europe or Asia. Drop a comment. Which African empire should we explore next? Mali. Great Zimbabwe. Kush. And subscribe to Echoes of Africa because next week, we're revealing the truth about the Benin bronzes, not just the art, but the political propaganda, the historical record, and the controversy that's shaking museums worldwide. The story of Africa is the story of humanity. And it's time we told it right.